Does God supernaturally act on the battlefield, in the combat battlefield? Whether you're talking about the streets of Fallujah and Ramadi, or the Helmand province in Afghanistan, or wherever we're going next, where our guys are going to be thrust into something, does God act in that combat environment? Let me tell you a story real quick about two guys that were fighting over in the Middle East. I'll see if I can answer this question for you. So these two young soldiers, and they went up against 20 of the enemy. They climbed a hill, and these two young soldiers killed 20 of the enemy in half an acre size of land. Pretty small piece of land, lots of dead bodies on the ground. Now, if you heard about that, if you heard of a story about two guys assaulting up a hill and killing 20 of the enemy, you're expecting to also read, something by the President of the United States and approved by Congress, and you're going to see a white and blue ribbon around their neck with a nice medal in between it, right? The Medal of Honor. And you can read a lot of Medal of Honor citations. I'm kind of into that. I've been into that for a while. And you can read these accounts of these brave men that went and did something amazing on the battlefield. And you can think to yourself, you know what? Man, that dude was a bad dude. That guy trained hard, ate his meat and potatoes. He was brave. He was honorable. He had what it took. But the story that I told you about, those two guys that assaulted up this hill, that was Jonathan, the son of King Saul, and it was Jonathan's armor bearer, and it's found in 1 Samuel 14. But my point about it is, it doesn't sound too much different than the things that we actually hear of happening today on the battlefield. Now, if you take that story of Jonathan and his armor bearer and you dissect out everything that they said about God, and then you just read it, it's going to come across like a Medal of Honor citation. And I think that if you fast forward that into the future, it makes sense with what we see on our battlefields today, where you have a situation where Desmond Doss is recovering his buddies on the battlefield, or you have a situation with Michael Murphy going up onto a rock outcropping to call in for support for the QRF to come and get his buddies, or you have a situation where Michael Mansour jumps on a hand grenade. I think that these situations that we see in our day and age are very reminiscent of what we've seen in the Bible with what God actually does on the battlefield. And so to our guys going forward across into harm's way, you should not feel alone, especially if you belong to Christ. You should not feel alone. You should not feel like God has left everything up to your training and experience for you to take forward onto the battlefield. I've been in quite a few rough spots in my time as a police officer and my time in the Marine Corps. And out of all of the worst spots that I've been in, I have not gotten out by my own strength, by my own skill, by my training and my experience. I have gotten out, and it was very, very clear and evident to me after I got out of them that it was the Lord who was my support. Now I just want to give you a little bit from the Word of God, from Psalm 18, about what God does for the warrior. Now this is the words of David. Listen to what David says. He says, "For who is God but the Lord? And who is a rock except our God? The God who equipped me with strength and made my way blameless. He made my feet like the feet of a deer and set me secure on the heights. He trains my hands for war so that my arms can bend a bow of bronze. You have given me the shield of your salvation, and your right hand supported me, and your gentleness made me great. You gave me a wide place for my steps under me, and my feet did not slip. I pursued my enemies and overtook them, and did not turn back till they were consumed. I thrust them through, so that they were not able to rise. They fell under my feet. For you have equipped me with strength for the battle. You have made those who rise against me sink under me. You made my enemies turn their backs to me, and those who hated me I destroyed. They cried for help, but there was none to save. They cried to the Lord, but he did not answer them. I beat them as fine as dust before the wind. I cast them out like the mire of the streets. So, for you, maybe you're going forth on the battlefield. Maybe you're setting out in a Marine Expeditionary Unit. Maybe you're getting ready to deploy somewhere, and you're thinking to yourself, man, how am I going to be able to stand in the battle? Don't have much faith and confidence in the upper echelon of leadership in this country, but what do I do with that? You need to trust in the Lord. You need to train hard. You need to rely upon the Lord, who is going to be your deliverer, who is going to give you the strength for the battle. When you do that and you realize, man, that you're just the putty inside of God's hands, and he's going to put you where he puts you, and you say, man, if the whole Iranian army rises against me, I may fall. But it will be the Lord who supports me. And it will be the Lord that arms me with strength for the battle. And it will be the Lord that trains my hands for war and strengthens my arms so that they can bend a bow of bronze. When you go out there with that attitude and that truly mindset of belief that God gives you the power to face what he can do, you're going to be okay.